I'm Janet Clark, and this is The Freedom Shift. Hello, and welcome to The Freedom Shift Podcast, where we share sales tips and insights for coaches and consultants who sell transformational programs. I'm your host, Janet Clark, CEO and founder of The Freedom Shift, and also referred to as the Sales Matchmaker, because I match the best salespeople with high-value coaches and consultants who are looking to build a sales team. Today, we're using a nautical theme because what you want is smooth sailing when it comes to growing your business. And what I've discovered is that most of us are sailing, and that's S-A-L-E, sailing against the wind, or selling against the wind, if you want to look at it that way. Now, in a nautical sense, the phrase sailing against the wind refers to the difficulty of sailing a boat into the wind. A sailboat can't sail straight into the wind because the drag force will push it downwind. So in order to get from point A to point B, and to do that going directly upwind, you have to zigzag the boat. So what would that look like in relation to you and your business and your sales calls? How would you be able to zigzag your way to a closed sale? When I talk to coaches and consultants, I very often hear the same story. They tell me that they have a proven program, that people are getting great results from their program, but no matter how hard they try, they can't seem to get consistent sales closed over the phone. They do okay getting referrals, and they can do some organic lead generation, but there's nothing happening on a consistent basis. And they tell me that they're totally frustrated because they're working their butts off, but they're closing less than 20%, sometimes even less than 10% of their calls. And that is exhausting. And all that rejection and talking till they're blue in the face is burning them out. Not to mention, it's sapping their energy and their enthusiasm for the big why that they originally had when they started their coaching business in the first place. So if you think about the person who loves sailing, now I'm talking about not sailing with the S-A-L-E, but sailing a boat. How much do you think that they would love to constantly be battling against strong incoming winds that are keeping them from getting anywhere? Not so much, right? Well, that's exactly what you're doing if you are on sales calls with unqualified prospects. If you find yourself spending way too much time explaining what you do and why they would want it, you are sailing against the wind. And that's sail, S-A-L-E, against the wind. So even though you know you have a great offer, you might begin to start really wondering, like, if maybe you're just not cut out for this. You suck at sales, right? Or you're just not cut out to be an entrepreneur. So let's talk about how you could navigate your ship so that it's zigzagging rather than pushing against a strong headwind. And when I talk about pushing against a strong headwind, I'm talking about talking to the wrong people who you feel like you're pulling teeth to get them to even be in the conversation with you at the level that you need them to be in order for them to make a decision to buy from you. So you have to start by course correcting, because obviously continuing to do what you're currently doing isn't working. And we all know that that is the definition of insanity, to keep doing the same thing over and over again, especially when you're getting this constant pushback. Sailing in a straight line is not the fastest way to reach a destination when you're in a boat. And turning the boat away from the wind is what is really going to allow your boat to move faster. It seems like it's the longer way to the finish line, but it actually is the fastest. So now in sales, if you are pushing against resistance, you'll expend way too much time and energy. It's much more effective, both in the short term and in the long term, to find the path of least resistance and make the appropriate adjustments, which often means that you turn opposite of the path that seems like it's the most likely and leading toward the most unlikely route. So an experienced sailor knows that you don't just get on a sailboat and go. Sailing a boat is much harder than you might think, and there are fundamentals that must be learned. There's a lot of preparation that goes into just learning the basics of sailing a boat. And, of course, this is also true in business, and more importantly, in the area of sales. So extensive preparation is required in order to be able to navigate a sales call with ease and grace so that it ends up where you want it to go. So the people who truly make it look easy on a sales call are the people who are talking to the right prospects, people who are qualified and ready to buy. Because jumping on a sales call with an unqualified prospect is like jumping into a boat and trying to sail it without any preparation. Systems and processes need to be created, mapped, and then implemented and reviewed. Ultimately, these systems are what are going to create the streamlined approach with much less stress and much more freedom, which is ultimately what we're looking for and why we started our business in the first place, right? We're looking for a life of freedom, financial freedom, time freedom, lifestyle freedom. And that is what you get when you have the right prospects on the phone that you can sell to and bring into your program with ease. So let's talk about what are the systems and processes that you need in place in order to have smooth sailing. That's S-A-L-E, sailing. Well, first of all, the number one is that you must have marketing. Number two, you must have messaging. Number three is prospecting. And number four is qualifying. And then finally, number five is sailing or selling. So let's discuss each one and why they are so important. So marketing means identifying your target market and creating a program or a service that offers them a transformation. So before you can go out and talk to anybody, you have to know who is that target market that you really want to be talking with, your ideal client, your avatar. And you have to have a program or a service that speaks to a need that they have for transformation. So that's marketing. The messaging part is communicating your value proposition and the primary benefit, meaning that you're clearly articulating the result or the transformation that you deliver. Prospecting is reaching out to them, meaning them, your target market, through various methods and platforms, which could include things like ads, emails, some sort of organic. It could be cold calling, right, on the phone, networking, whatever you're doing as far as your way to reach that target market is your prospecting. Now, the part that a lot of people miss is the qualifying. Now, qualifying is determining if that prospect has the ability, the authority, and the desire or inclination to purchase your program or services. Now, very often, a lot of people never do the qualifying part of this process. So they jump from prospecting, assuming that, okay, this person fits my ideal avatar, so I'm going to jump on the phone and convince this person that they need my program. But we miss the part that is so important, which is there any resistance coming from this person, or are they willing to work with us? Do they have the authority to make that decision? Do they have any interest or desire to make a decision, an inclination to come and work with you? Then, and only then, are they ready for the sales call. Now, too often, as coaches and consultants, we get confused between the marketing and the sales. It gets lumped together, or very often, the marketing part gets skipped over. And people will jump on a sales call with anybody who will get on the phone with them. And I've seen this happen time and time again. People who are what I call tire kickers. Those people are not going to buy. If you find yourself on a call and you are creating the demand, you are convincing somebody that they need something, or trying to convince them that they need something that they haven't even identified that they do need, you are not going to close that. And very often we take that personally. We think it's something that we're doing wrong. And the only thing we're really doing wrong is we're just talking to the wrong person. Marketing is the critical piece to identify and qualify the prospects for your company's solution before you try to close that sale. Without the proper marketing, you're going to be sailing against the wind, or selling against the wind in our case. So let me share something I've learned over the past year, which is really working well to create that zigzag strategy of working with the wind instead of hitting it head on. We've discovered how to combine the marketing, messaging, and prospecting, and then adding in the qualifying piece so that you have a smooth process that can be easily done on LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn really is the perfect platform for engaging and communicating with your prospects, because it is truly a universal understanding that LinkedIn is a business platform. It's a social media outlet where people come together to network and do business. So unlike Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, which were really set up to be more social in nature, LinkedIn was established to be a platform where people can do business, or that's what it's designed to be. Now, the key to using it properly is to make sure that you are out there adding value through conversations and not just peddling your services. So in the same way that you're not going to walk into a networking event or meet somebody at a meet and greet and just start talking about what you do and asking people if they want to buy it, you have to spend some time in conversation with people. And it's the exact same thing on LinkedIn. So for example, if you or your marketing team positions yourself as an industry expert on LinkedIn, then you can engage in conversations and share information with your ideal prospects without being salesy or obnoxious, because you're giving valuable content, you're giving good information. And you will build up your reputation and your preeminence that way. And then you get to spend some time interacting with other people in conversation. Now, my business partner and my chief marketing officer, his name is Tobin Slavin, he calls this process conversations at scale. And it works like a charm if it's done correctly. Now, I'm actually going to be bringing him on as a guest soon in one of our upcoming podcast sessions. And he's going to be able to dig and dive into this process a little deeper with you. So stay tuned for that because it's going to be awesome. But what's really important for you to realize is that there are ways of prospecting that will allow you to zigzag your way through to the sales call. Now, whether you're doing that personally or whether you have a virtual assistant doing it or whether you have a team doing it like we offer through our programs, it needs to be human contact. So one of the things that we have come to realize is that there's this kind of hybrid between the automated chat and the organic, you have to do everything yourself. And that hybrid is what we call human chat, where some of your conversations are actually being maybe handled by somebody else. So that could be a virtual assistant or a team that you've put into place. It could be your sales team that's doing some prospecting on your behalf. And they may be speaking through your profile, or they may be speaking as themselves as a member of your team. But as long as they're doing it in a way that it's conversational and they're doing it in a way that's engaging and attracting your ideal prospects, you are going to find that people are going to come to the point where you get the opportunity to qualify them, to figure out whether they actually have a desire, a need, authority, inclination to become a client. And then they can go on to a sales call. So there is a process. It's a simple process. There's some steps involved in it, but they do allow you to have a steady stream of qualified prospects coming from LinkedIn into either your calendar or the calendar of the person doing the sales for you. So it's a whole new world out there. There's a whole new opportunity to get away from this automated lead generation that people have been doing, particularly the Facebook funnel, where so many of those leads are coming through and they're unqualified, and they're really burning out coaches and consultants who are getting on these calls with unqualified prospects. They're burning out sales teams who are constantly getting this rejection, people who had no intention of buying in the first place, who don't even know really why they're on the call. You really want that sales call to be an enrollment call where the person has already identified that, yes, they're interested and they want to hear more about your program. So the most important thing that I want you to remember is that a sailboat cannot sail directly into the wind, yet it can move in an upwind direction. And to sail upwind is to simply tack back and forth until you've reached the target. And you can do the same thing if you put your marketing strategies and processes into place in such a way that you are zigzagging along rather than squeezing through a funnel. I want you to think about zigzagging, going sideways through the wind until you get to the point where you then are able to sell smoothly or sail smoothly, as the case may be. So that's it for today. I love talking about sales. I love talking about how to get these close ratios up, to get the best clients into your programs, to make your life easier. I love being able to match salespeople up to sell for coaches and consultants like you who have these high value programs, people who will be able to represent your company with high integrity and bring in perfect clients into your programs so that you can then do the work you started out to do that you absolutely love to do. And my whole goal is to make this whole process of marketing and sales easier for you and easier for the client, the prospect, for everybody involved. So until next week, have a wonderful time out there and happy sailing. Talk to you next week. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Freedom Shift Podcast. If you want more great information about increasing your sales, visit our website, www.thefreedomshift.com/podcast.